the thing that's really critical. I maintain that if you look at, first of all, most people forget this, okay, just a little history of Apple. The first Apple computer came, I think it was $666, okay? The Apple with the bite out of it obviously is symbolic of Eden. The iMac, the iPad, the iPhone, the iThis, the iThat, and maybe I'm leaving out some I's, but what's happened is I maintain, Tom, that the virtual world was designed as the ultimate honeypot. A honeypot in spy talk is that which can basically deceive the most seasoned spy into giving up secrets. Well, in this case, what's happened is people are surrendering their free will, they're surrendering their God-given identity to take up an avatar or to become an avatar and then enter into a totally unreal world where they have been, quote-unquote, the great divorce has been taking place. So the failure to not only communicate, I've seen, it makes me nuts too, Tom. I guess, I'm not, quote-unquote, hip, and I guess I'm still, but even my grandkids say, man, you're a cool grandpa. But the point that I'm trying to make in this thing is that we're already absorbed into the Borg. And I used a term years ago, Doug, 25 years ago on talk radio. I said they're turning us into a bunch of techno serfs, and I called it the kingdom of techno serfdom until they will no longer need us. The thing that's problematic right now is the sexual, and there is now, you forget Masters and Johnson, basically it's Tobor and Gort, two famous robots in history. The idea is this, to do away with human sexuality, and you can go into a neural stimulation of the pleasure center of the brain with a robot, and what they're going to do is that is a form, if people don't get it yet, that's a form of not only birth control, but it's the end of the human genome. And so when they're creating taking human DNA and human sperm and female eggs and combining them, and they're doing it outside of the womb, and they're doing it in all the hidden and secret laboratories, and then taking animal DNA and stuff. I want people to understand something. After reading everything I've done, researching everything I've done, I'm just scratching the surface, pun intended. The point is that the great if you will, the great heinous crime against the living God, even prior to the creation of Adam and Eve, was when the entities started creating and genetically altering. This is by people say, well, where did the dinosaurs come from? I said, well, just as God made Adam and Eve in his image, that Satan, because of the ugliness of his fall, could only produce that which was, if you will, a direct reflection of him. So the thing is that we are in a great divorce right now, and mind control and the MK Ultra programs, everything, people don't understand. And I made the statement, Tom, and I couldn't be more serious than this. 5G becomes mandatory. I'm off the internet, and I will personally see that whoever's on the internet watches me blow up my iMac, whatever 27-inch deal right now, because here's the thing. The net, we're going to be so, I tell people, imagine you've got a space helmet, and everything in that helmet is programming you, lying you, stealing your original thoughts, putting in manufactured thoughts, stealing your feelings. And we have now a bunch of snowflakes, sandbox critters that are living at mommy and daddy's house, and, they go out and protest, the ones that do, and then they've got nothing more to do than the stimulus to go back and get on the video games. Now, this is simplistic, I understand, and go into an unreal world. They have been divorced, and that's why the Chinese are leading the world. That's why the Russians, American kids are, trying to figure out if they're a boy or the girl. You've got Russian kids, the young wolves, where we used to have Boy Scouts learning how to strip an AK-47 blindfolded in less than, I think, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. You have the Chinese practicing now. I just put it up on my website for a hypersonic attack, aircraft that go 3,100, miles per hour. We have stuff like that too. But I think the most telling and compelling thing that we've got to get across to people, there are more synapses in a human brain than there are stars in the galaxy. The brain is the most most complex object we know of, and understanding its connections at this level is a major step forward. Talking about what are called connectomes, C-O-N-N-E-C-T-O-M-E-S. People need to look at it. In the Singularity Hub, it's called Amazing New Brain Map of Every Synapse. Every synapse points to the roots of thinking. So I maintain that that's already done. That's already a feat accomplished. They've already done it. So then how should we then, to answer the question of Francis Schaeffer, how should we then live? We cannot live in a vacuum of ignorance. We cannot live in a vacuum of indifference or apathy. We cannot live in denial or in the mode where, well, hey, I'm 70, I'm going to die, and then it's my kid's problem. What a self-centered, stupid, dumbass, anti-heritage mindset is that? And I hear people, Tom, I don't know if you do, you probably hang around different people than I do, but they say, well, hey, I'm old, that's my kid's problem. So where we're at right now is, and this is something I think people have got to understand. When God tells us in Ephesians to put on the helmet of salvation, there's a reason for that, because our brain is a battlefield before our hands carry out the fight with whatever weapons are before us. Let me make that clear. The brain is the pre-battlefield, maybe I should put the word pre in front of it, before the hands take the weapons to carry it out in real life. Go ahead, Tom.
Well, absolutely, and the whole point is that, you mentioned a moment ago, a few years ago, I forget what the term was, kind of a pre-Borg term, where we're going to become the Borg, but you used a different phrase around it. In any case, that's what's being built right now. That was the whole point that I was making earlier, is that this is not futuristic. It's not Star Trek. It's not something far off into the future. In fact, some of the people that have written for the government's own Council on Bioethics, they wrote a paper called Human Dignity in the Biotech Century, and they made some of the strongest, most persuasive arguments, and very simplistic stuff, too. They talk about the pressure is already here. Imagine most young people today trying to function if you took away from them all of their digital apparati, knowing how to read a map instead of using a GPS device, not being able to text, not being able to use email, not being able to use digital. This constitutes a huge part of their lives now, and it's so far wireless, but it is an integration into their capacity to think, their capacity to reason. Neuroscientists right now are writing substantial peer-reviewed papers on how we are entering into a very dangerous period of time in which young people, millennials, don't even have the capacity to think anymore. In fact, I can't think of her name. She's on kind of a book tour right now, and she is a clinical psychologist who has taught at the university level, but she's out there doing media right now, and she's saying that young people that are inside of our universities don't have the basic capacity to even be able to think. We're just passing them. We're giving them passing grades or whatever, but we're allowing them to sit there and write the answers to their tests down by looking it up on Google and finding out what the answer is and writing it down. They don't have the capacity to think. And she said the dangerous part is we're not saying that they're dumb. What we're saying is they have unlearned how to think, how to process information, how to study, learn, allow the brain that God created to digitally store and recall information, and then how to make philosophical arguments in favor of a particular worldview. Instead, they're just getting talking points from crazy politicians that are telling them to go out and curse at people if they're having dinner at a local cafe that might not agree with their particular political leanings. They don't even know why they're barking up a tree. They're just doing it. They're becoming automatons, and she's saying that this is a very, very dangerous moment. And even if she doesn't, by the way, she doesn't speak to this issue like a theologian or like a pastor. She's not talking about it from a church world or biblical worldview. She's talking about it as a sustainable social and cultural phenomenon that we are Rome getting ready to burn because people don't have a clue why we believe what we believe. Why would the majority right now of Democrats, according to all the most recent polling, why would they favor socialism over capitalism? It's because they don't even know how we got here. They don't know how they can demand free education and free health care and free this and free that and all kinds of assistance and everything. They don't even know how it works. They don't even know how capitalism made this the most powerful nation in the history of the world. And so, frankly, what's that other axiom? You know, those who have forgotten the mistakes of the past are doomed to repeat them. So that's what I'm saying. We've entered critical mass, and the guys that wrote for some of the government studies on this in human dignity in the biotech century, they say that that pressure right now to continue moving into an easy, breezy, technologically enhanced era in which some benevolent AI is going to take care of all of this for you. You won't even know. You don't need to know how to think, frankly. All you got to do is you got to know what button to push or to speak into your phone, and don't use Ebonics because it isn't going to understand what you're talking about. But, you know, figure out some way to text it in or type it in, and it's going to give you the answer. So you don't need to know how to think. And they, too, writing for the U.S. government, are saying we have entered a critical stage now. All across our nation, people in every social strata, in the middle class, law, engineering, finance, professional fields, the military, regardless of their personal or religious views, are being sucked into a digital vacuum. Well, you and I think, us and the Hagmans and some of the people listening to this show, we know where this is going. And they had power to give life unto the image of the beast. We are racing towards technological singularity, a moment in time beyond which all of the rules no longer apply. You know, the technological singularity is taken from the cosmological terminology, singularity, which is talking about a black hole. And when you reach the event horizon, beyond the event horizon, the laws of physics as we understand them no longer apply. So in technological singularity, what they're saying is we are racing toward a moment in time after which an AI is going to gain consciousness.